7th of February, Rabbi Levitt, Pele Yoetz, second recording.
Okay, so this person is a duly appointed agent of the community. He's a Gabbai Tzedakah. So he has an official position. He's in this position. He's entrusted to collect tzedakah for the people that need it. So Rav Nachman Bar Rav Avo over here is saying that he has the power to place a mashkon, like a lien on the assets of individuals that don't listen to give the tzedakah that they're told to give. So there we find an instance of coercion in regard to tzedakah. Okay. Looks like a big discussion over here. So anyway, that's the I think the basis of the Pele Yoetz over here. This why they're so the Pele Yoetz says one may not use coercion in matters of tzedakah. Or rather, one may use coercion. Yeah, see, we see from this Gemara that the Gabbai Tzedakah, that's exactly what he was doing. He was placing a hold on people's property to ensure that they would get the tzedakah from the assets of these people.
Why is he making this distinction between people who need to collect and people who don't need to collect? If anything, I would think if a person needs to collect, it would be more urgent, and therefore he would be more justified in using verbal force.
Coercion in matters of tzedakah only applies to a person who does not need to collect for himself. So he's saying that that this what it says over there in the Gemara that the Gabbai Tzedakah is collecting. He's using the coercion. He's not collecting for himself. So he may use coercion. So that they will give to the poor. But a private individual who's collecting for himself, says the Pele Yoetz, and he's going straight to the donor, the potential donor, to seek a contribution. If people give to him because he embarrasses them with verbal force, then it's considered a sin and as stolen goods in his possession. You're asking what is the difference?
Right.
What should those individuals do who need to collect and be supported by others who are not able to be so careful in this regard? If they are very particular in this matter, it's possible that they will die of hunger. So you can't blame them for being very strong in their demand. So therefore, a person should make every effort to be employed in work, so he doesn't have to resort to such a thing. Well, see, what we're saying is that we have to understand what he's saying over here in light of the beginning of his statement. He started off saying on this paragraph that the person who's going to collect, so he should make his speech to the person, and please be generous, blah blah blah, and Hashem should bless you, etc., etc. And then when the person gives what he gives, he should be satisfied with that amount, and not make a fuss without any refusal to accept, no matter what the amount. Should be satisfied with that amount, with the initial amount that's given, and not pressure the person. Oh, you have to give me more than that. That's not enough. That's not enough. You need to give me more than that. So that is, in other words, what we're talking about over here is the and why is this so? Why is this so? Because like he concludes that the people will like, and you'll see that said in the previous paragraphs, that we don't want then the person is it's a sin if he embarrasses the person, and the person is that's a sin in itself. He's embarrassing the person by telling him he's not he's not giving a proper amount what he should give. And number two, even if the person does end up giving more, it's not, he's not giving it willingly. Okay, so that's the concern. So and then he says like, what do you want from these people? They're very, very poor. What are they going to do? They got a big difficulty over here. How can you expect them to be so careful with this halakha? We're saying there's halakhic isurim involved in collecting. He could be in violation of embarrassing the donor. He could be in violation of taking from the donor money that the donor doesn't really want to give. So it's like gezel. So you're asking really, well, why would that be any different if he's collecting for himself as opposed to if he's collecting for an organization, a gabbai tzedakah? What's the difference? Either way, you're embarrassing the person, and you are forcing him to give more than what he wants to give. So I think that's a good question. It would seem to me that you can't do so in either case. As far as the Gemara that we saw is concerned, the gabbai tzedakah didn't use any verbal pressure on the people, and he also didn't. He just put a lien on their property. That's all he did. I mean, that's all he did.
And in that case,
the person doesn't want to give it? He doesn't want to. What? I
was saying, it wasn't it the case there that the person had made a commitment to give, and he was just enforcing it.
And if he wouldn't have made the commitment, he wouldn't be able to do that? I don't know.
That's what I'm assuming.
I don't see any distinction like that in the Gemara.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I was thinking.
Doesn't say anywhere that he made a pledge.
Yeah, I think you're right. It just says he coerced him. There's a long footnote, but it's just focusing on the halacha.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was wrong to say that.
Okay, so this is um, yeah, okay.
My understanding is that the other side of the story is that the obligation to give is stronger if the person is collecting for himself than if he's collecting for somebody else.
Yeah, I often found that as well. People like to give to private individuals. They don't like to give to organizations, so to speak, or yeshivas, or yeah. But yeah, I always tell them, look, the yeshiva is also private individuals. You're just paying people's wages. If you want to support individuals, that's what you're doing. But every person, every donor has his private. He's got everything worked out already. He knows exactly what he does and what he doesn't do, and what he likes to give and what he doesn't like to give. But you could talk to them, and sometimes they'll like you. Anyway, but that's just just my personal experience. But yeah, and I mean as far as the donor goes, the thing is like this. Every donor, but I assume that they do know. They a lot of times they know that if somebody's collecting on behalf of an organization, they anybody that comes to their door, actually, well, it depends who it is. There's some people that they always suspect that the reason that you're coming to their door is because a driver knows their address. So then there's a big issue of, I don't want to give any money to a driver, so I don't want to give you any money either. Then you get into all sorts of difficult, sticky issues. I had that more than once. But the best way is to not have a driver. And the best way is not have to do it at all. But there's
well, it's also could be a matter of inconvenience. If a driver finds out that you're somebody who gives, and therefore he's bringing person after person, and you're being inconvenienced by people constantly knocking on your door, that could be. You could say, I'm not giving anymore because I want to send a message to the driver to stop coming.
Yeah, well, this is what happens. Yeah, this is what happens. So, but what can these poor people do? They don't know. They don't have any connections. They come oftentimes from a different country. They don't even speak the language mostly, and so they don't know their way around really. So they got to have a driver. So they're basically that's what they have to do. So they get whatever they get. They get whatever they get. But I mean, just in terms of the obligation of the donor, the main obligation that the main obligation of the donor is to give to a worthy cause, really. And what's a worthy cause? There's halachas about this. Torah is a very, very worthy cause. And other causes are also very worthy. There's priority for those who are shomer Torah mitzvahs, as opposed to those that are not. Why? Because to support a family of people that are engaged in observing mitzvahs and learning Torah, that's in the halachas of tzedakah. That takes priority because those people are involved in doing in building the world. That's called being a builder. So there's halachas about this. But he's talking. The Pele Yoetz is not talking about the donor. He's talking to the collector, and he's saying that the collector has to be very careful that he in his collecting doesn't cause embarrassment and doesn't coerce, because that's going to be that's a sin. That's gezel. Somebody doesn't want to give you, and you force him to give. He doesn't want to give. So he's saying, I believe what he means to say is he can't argue with the Gemara. In other words, the Gemara says that a guy by tzedakah has the authority to force. That's the end of it. He's not going to argue on the Gemara. That's what the Gemara says. But what he's saying is, and we're just asking, well, we would think that a guy by tzedakah wouldn't be able to, he obviously is not able to, not just because he's a guy by tzedakah, he's not allowed to embarrass anybody. And we would think also that how can he force somebody to give money that he doesn't want to give? Except we see that the Gemara says that that's his job. He's a guy by tzedakah. He's collecting for the people of he's collecting for whoever he's collecting for. He's a duly appointed agent of the community, and he has this authority. That's what the Gemara says. So a guy doesn't want to give. I don't know. that's the way it goes. But he's saying that he's the Pele Yoetz, I think, is right. That goes for a guy by tzedakah, because we can't argue with the Gemara. But a private individual who's collecting for himself, he's got a problem over here. He can't force people to give him money that they don't want to give. That's an isser. Because the Gemara doesn't say in the Gemara that that's allowed. This case that you mentioned over here about Rava, I'm understanding that the case of Rava is also he's a Gabbai Tzedakah. He's collecting on behalf of he's collecting tzedakah, not for himself, but for I guess he has a oh wow. See, there's a Tosus on this story with Rava, that Rava forced Rav Nassan Barami. So let's see what, maybe we should see what Tosus the points that Tosus raises over here. You see this Achbe Rav Nassan, this long, relatively long Tosus in the middle of the page. Yeah, Tosus does ask the question, and he says, Nir Lari, the Gabbai has the authority to do so. Nir Lari, the B'tzedakah kofin mishum de'is bo lav diksiv bo lo ta'ametz es levavcha bo lo tichpots. there are there's also the Torah of the donor. The donor has to make sure that he doesn't violate these psukim in the Torah. Want to look up these psukim? This is a pasuk. You want to look it up? It's in where is this?
My footnote says Devarim 15:7.
Okay.
You shall not harden your heart, and you shall not shut your hand from your needy brother.
Again, Dvarim
15:7.
Okay, so Tosas is saying that Uksev ki b'glal hadavar hazeh yivarechecha. Okay, on account of this matter, Hashem will bless you. There's another pasuk. Oh, there I see. It says Devarim Tesvav. Okay, there's two psukim over there. This forcing that we're referring to is with words. Kemo kfiyah. Or Tosfos alternatively says, is that the community has accepted, since the community has accepted that they're going to have somebody who's called a Gabbai Tzedakah. So that means that they that he had it's something that the community has accepted upon themselves, that that he's has that authority to do that. Okay, so this is exactly Tosfos' issue over here. How is it that they have the authority to do this? That's what Tosfos is discussing. The whole Tosfos is about this. But it seems as though there's a difference in this mitzvah of giving tzedakah and other positive mitzvahs. The Tosfos notes in the end that he says, Tosfos says that Einchem muzarim lachricho achiyase kashar mitzvahs. It's not the case by tzedakah that we can force him until he buckles and does what we tell him to do, like is so by other mitzvahs. And he brings an example from the Gemara in Ksubis. Somebody says, Kashar mitzvahs essay, the im omar lay. If we say to him, Asay sukkah v'lulav, go sit in the sukkah, go shake the lulav, the eno ose, and he doesn't do it, he ignores us. So the Beis Din has the authority to give him to makinoso. Achitetze nafsho. It's pretty serious.
So they kill him?
Yeah, no, it means it doesn't mean until you hit him until he dies. It means you can really you can really knock some sense into him, though.
What does it mean, Teitze Nafsho? His soul goes?
Yeah, but you have to say that ad. See, whenever you see the word ad, there's two ways of understanding the word ad, and it's actually a discussion in the Gemara. What does the word ad mean? Does it mean ad va'ad b'chlal, or does it mean ad v'lo ad b'chlal? Meaning, does it mean until, but not, but not right? It says over here until his soul leaves him. So does it mean that you do it until and including the point that his soul leaves him, or does it mean you do it until but not up, not including that his soul leaves him? So here would be a proof that it means that you do it until but not
Up to.
including what?
Up to.
Yeah, up to but not including. Up to but not including. So in other words, tzedakah is in a different category. That's what the Gemara is going to explain here in a moment. That the Gemara says that Tosfos quotes the Gemara, Beis Din ein Beis Din musharin a mitzvahs aseh shematin skarin b'tzida. Hainu de ein nenshin. Tosfos says tzedakah is a mitzvah that it's that the reward, the matan skar for it is b'tzida, meaning it's stated in the Torah. Where does it state in the Torah? Well, in a moment we could see that if you want, but the point is that there's a rule that the Gemara comes up with that those mitzvahs that have matan skar and b'tzida, that the Torah specifies what the skar is, so that those are mitzvahs in a different category, and Beis Din doesn't have the authority to give onshin on non-performance of such mitzvahs, unlike the mitzvah of sukkah or lulav, where they do have the ability and the authority. That he quotes the Gemara in Ksuvas, makinoso ad shetetze nafsho.
So you cannot beat a person in order to force him to give tzedakah,
Right.
but you can in order to force him to shake a lulav.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I guess that's what Tosfos is concluding. This, that we say that the kfiyah is in terms of words. We can't really do anything more than that. A bit we could put a hold on his property. That was clear from the Gemara, I believe. But otherwise the coercion is only verbal coercion. It's not physical coercion. That's what Tosfos' point is. Okay, so that's a little bit about that. Okay, so we have 5 minutes. We can read the rest of this entry over here. A person who trusts in Hashem. We go to Roy, you want to read?
Okay, thanks. A person who trusts in Hashem will be surrounded by kindness. Those who seek Hashem will not lack any good. In truth, our sages in Beta 16a said, the provisions of a man are affixed upon Rosh Hashanah, except for the expenditures for mitzvahs. If he increases his spending, heaven will increase his income accordingly. God has many messengers and lots of different ways to provide each individual with a portion that was allotted to him, not too much and not too little. This is a satisfying, this is a fundamental principle for the person who wants all of his income to be good, satisfying, and permitted. This idea should be as a remembrance between his eyes. By this virtue, he will live a life of pleasantness, and he will find favor and good understanding in the eyes of God, of Hashem and men. Examine this principle, and you will find that it is the elixir of life that has everything in it. Fortunate is the man who does this, and the person who embraces it. Fortunate is he in this world, and it is good for him in the world to come.
Right. Okay, so that's the, this is a Gemara in Beitza. This is really worthwhile to look this up. We should look this up, but we don't have any time to do so.
Yeah, I'd like to look it up. I'm a little surprised. I had heard that you can test Hashem in giving tzedakah, that you won't lose. But this seems to be saying that applies to every mitzvah.
Okay, so that's a good question. What do we, right. Right, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you have to, as in all of these matters, you have to know exactly what the, how the Gemara explains. What does it mean that you can test Hashem? What does that mean? This is the basic question that the Gemara always wants to know. So we oftentimes we hear all of these types of statements, and it says, "Oh yes, the Gemara says it. It's true. The Gemara says it." But you have to know what the Gemara means when it says what it says. So it's certainly so. What the Gemara says, you have to know though what the Gemara exactly is the case that the Gemara is talking about. And over here, with this Gemara in Beitza, so fine. So maybe we'll reserve this as a we have a date with the Gemara in Beitza tomorrow.
Amen.
And there's Hashem.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to be going to Lou's meeting for the next year.
Okay. So I'll go out. Alan, did you? We're going to. We're going out of here, and Lou is hosting
That's right.
the next year, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to call Phil.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. See you soon.
Hey.